Still.
Welcome to the Max Freedom Podcast. Today's guest is Ben Watson. This is a long time coming for this podcast with the ape wanderer, mate, the man who travels the world and just keeps going, keeps hitting people in his martial arts training, and he's hanging on ropes and swinging in the trees like a real gorilla. And I mean, there's so much to say about this guy. He he's going to go deep today, and I thought it would be only fitting that we start the podcast off with some breath work. So today we're going to start the podcast off with some breath work. Ben's gonna walk us through whatever he wants to walk us through, and that'll put us in somewhat of a parasympathetic state for the conversation. So if you're driving a car and listening to this, or if you're operating any heavy machinery, please either take a break, pull over, or do not do this because there is obviously always the chance that you could pass out or you could go too deep. So without further ado, Ben, thanks for hopping on. I can't wait for this.
Excited. What a beautiful intro. And yeah, good little disclaimer there. But
I don't want to be killing anybody tonight.
Well, that's the beautiful thing. Like with the breath, it meets you wherever you are today. And I think one of the beautiful things about working with the breath is you remove the judgment of where you are with it ultimately, and allow yourself to get back to that homeostasis of your own soul. What your soul does is the first thing that it becomes a soul, and the last thing it will ever do when it is like leaving this earth as a soul. So it's really good to connect with it. And so I want everyone, nice to meet everyone on the Freedom Podcast out here. We're throwing upside down heel kicks and making health flip upside down as well. But we're 100% nose breathing. All right, the nose will be able to filter the air and also enhance more of the magic chemical called nitric oxide. If you haven't looked into that, either reach out to me or just type it in. It's
nitric oxide.
Yeah. Oh, we might have to dive deeper into that in a little bit, but because that is such a huge benefit to sports and performance, but also allowing our body to relax. And so what I'm going to try and get everyone to do is we'll just like let our tongue reach onto the top of the mouth and create a small gap in between the teeth. As we sit there and relax, I want us to expand fully into the belly first, and then try and think before you lift the chest with your breath, breathe into your back. When you breathe into your back, you're allowing that complete 360 degrees of your breath to expand your lungs. As you let it out slowly and controlled, we're allowing the body to enhance the oxygen that you just brought into your body and you utilize it. Now, when you breathe in, I want you to try and breathe in deeper into those kidneys and into that back, further into the back, expanding 360 degrees, but then slowly let the air trickle out, enhancing the ability to absorb as much oxygen as possible, slowing the exhale down. And again, breathing in deeply into the back, allowing your posture to sort of sit on your diaphragm, one of the strongest muscles in the body that works unconsciously throughout our sleep. So we're going to work for a simple 4 in, 6 out count now. So this means that you're going to, if you cannot maintain that 4 in or the 6 out, just sit with it and hold the breath for that time. So breathe everything out for me. And then we're going to breathe in for 3, 2, 1. Breathing out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in. 3, 2, 1. Breathing out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in. 3, 2, 1. Breathing out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in. 3, 2, 1. Breathing out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, fully expand into that back, and breathing out, slowing the air out the nose. 2, 1. Breathing in, feeling the air trickle into the nose, breathing out. 3, 2, 1. Keep going for one more minute. In, 2, 1. Breathing out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in. 2, 1. Breathing out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in. 3, 2, 1. Breathing out. 30 more seconds. 2, 1. Breathing in. 3, 2, 1. Breathing out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, slowing the airflow down, breathing for the full count of 4, and breathing out. 4 for the full count of 6. 2, 1. Breathing in for the full count of 4. 3, 2, and 1. And breathing out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, as that metronome is sort of setting that tempo now, we will have that metronome easily for the rest of that podcast. You've got 40% inhale and a 60% exhale there. Keep that ticking over in your mind. And it is so easy to return to this at any stage throughout the day, where you're 40% sympathetic, but 60% of your day being parasympathetic. This is a super easy technique or a way to reduce your breathing to be more parasympathetic into the rest, relax, and digest state of the body. And also, if you stretch, or for me in sports, if I wanted to recover, I usually only have a minute. And what this brings it down to is 6 breaths per minute. And so that's a really good way for our body to absorb the oxygen and then to relax on that little bit of a 2 seconds extra on the exhale. And I use this daily, and actually like throughout the day, always actually. It's just something so easy to come back to, right? It wasn't any stress in that breath at all, right, Max? It was easy.
No, and I think I'm a little
You're
hot right
relaxed.
now. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's I hope anybody who tried it was able to do it. I know if you've never done breath work, like even just understanding the diaphragm and what that means it can be confusing, but that whole concept of like, I've just been introduced to this idea of breathing not only through the belly, but also through the sides and through the back. So it's like this 360-degree expansion. I think is that how the diaphragm works? Is that why you guys suggest that?
So diaphragm is a muscle, and when you breathe in, your lungs expand, and your diaphragm actually pulls down. The muscle of the diaphragm pulls down to allow the expansion of the lungs. When you breathe out, your diaphragm does what? It pushes up, pushing the air out, creating all of that air to leave the lungs. What's amazing is when we breathe in and the diaphragm pulls down to create space for the lungs to open up, it's actually pushing more pressure onto the heart because there's less space now in the chest. So take a full breath in, right? And you notice that your lungs like take all of that space around your heart, making your heart now beat faster. Yes, I love the shoulders. But it forces the heart now to beat faster. And what that means is you're in a sympathetic state. And so when you breathe out and the lungs create less space in the chest, it allows the heart to reduce its amount of beats per minute, going to slow the heartbeat down. And so this is how you...
I don't want to cut you off.
This is how you down-regulate.
Well,
this is how you down-regulate your body, right? A high elevated heart rate comes from stress or over-exercising. I'm at 180 beats per minute getting to the top of the hill. I need to bring my heart rate back down so I can continue performing. Or for stress, like for people with stress, it's you're just upper chest breathing, and you're not allowing your heart to have that space to do its job, to free itself, to beat slower, to
Yeah, that's what I
beat
wanted to
easier.
ask you about. Like, so when I think of oxygen, I think of it being this amazing thing, right? Where you're breathing more oxygen, and yet what we just did was breathe in
Breathe less.
40% and actually exhale more. So there's this very interesting paradox with oxygen and carbon dioxide, right? So the more oxygen you breathe in, like you just said, when we hyperventilate, what's actually
Mm-hmm.
happening there? And can you explain that in either a scientific term or like a layman's understanding of it?
Yeah. I'll try and explain it in a layman's term that where people get punched in the head for a living. But but basically, so basically, I see it as offsetting. So when hyperventilation might actually not be that great for you unless you want to spike your adrenaline or your cortisone or something where you're getting amped up to jump in an ice bath. When I'm performing, and that's my base of everything in my day-to-day life, man, as soon as I wake up, I want to perform. I want to be on my toes, off my heels, bouncing in my step. And that involves utilizing the oxygen that I bring in. Because if I'm, that's energy wasted, man. I'm not allowing the body, like that's blood that the diaphragm, that as a muscle is being used, but it's drawing more blood to that area than allowing the blood to distribute evenly throughout the body. So in the sense, when we hyperventilate, or if we're trying to recover, we're actually offsetting our carbon dioxide or our oxygen. And so we're breathing too much, doesn't allow the oxygen to absorb into the bloodstream or into the muscles. And there's an amazing thing, if people want to look up on it or reach out to me, there's a thing called the Bohr effect or Bohr law. And it's a German scientist that shows the curve of how carbon dioxide actually increases oxygen in the muscles in the body. So by breathing more, you're actually not liberating oxygen into the muscles. You're actually just creating more oxygen into the lungs. So yeah, just off on a little bit of a layman's
So by
terminology there.
breathing more oxygen, you get less oxygen into the blood, and by breathing less oxygen, you get more oxygen in the
Okay,
blood.
so we are already, you and I right now are at about a 97 to a 98, maybe 96 to 98% of oxygen saturation. And that's
In the
just us sitting
lungs.
normally. Yeah, in our whole body, basically.
Oh, in the whole
And
body.
so I believe, let's say the lungs. Let's keep it to the lungs. Let's keep it
Okay.
layman's term, so I don't step on anyone's real doctorates or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not expecting to understand the whole body and exactly intricately how it all understand works, but
I
yeah,
guess that
I
happens
think
after
this
a
is
hundred episodes on the podcast, right? That'll happen
it
after.
seems like a really important concept to understand for anybody because we're breathing all day. So if you can really
Yeah.
like incorporate this as a daily habit somehow,
Hmm.
it just seems like it might extend your life 5, 10 years or and improve the quality of it like in
Yes.
10x, in a short
Yes.
amount of time.
Yeah, massively. And so I'm very fortunate this year. I now am working with a corporate team in this area that does sales, and I'm doing breathing sessions with them every morning. And
Wow.
we're 3 weeks in now, and they're starting to get this momentum where their stress meters, they're aware of it, and they can bring it back down so that they are they have more clarity in the way that they approach not only the next target, the next sale, or the next position that they're in, but they're not allowing themselves to get too elevated. And so they're able to approach. So through these breathing techniques of, it's something so simple, bro. 4 in, 6 out. That's simple. You're able to allow your body to return to its natural homeogenesis state of where it's like, oh, I'm relaxed. And now you'll be clearer. You'll be able to articulate better. You'll be able to hit the nail on the hammer on the head like way easier. Just everything starts to become easier once you connect to this. And so we're doing breathing sessions in the morning, and I run them through a little bit of like higher intensity thing than we did this morning. But we do always finish and come back to that simple. This is the 4 in, 6 out. At any stage today, it only takes 1 minute for you to regain this control of connecting to the breath, connecting to the energy source that will allow you to have clarity, connection, and the ability to give yourself better approach in the next client. So breath is everything, man. And I'm very fortunate because, yeah, I didn't have that job last year, and like now everything's starting to gain some good momentum and, off the back of that. And I'm looking forward to seeing numbers with that, because those boys work with numbers. They're constantly trying to get a certain amount of numbers or leads and stuff like that. And what's really cool is that within 2 weeks, we're already getting a little bit of a spike increase on their output. Wow. And yeah, man, wow. The whole community, the whole community inside there was saying like, holy moly, this is one of the best parts of my day, because it sets me up to win the rest of the day. And it comes back to it, man. It's like, win the morning, win the day. You know, like,
it's a genius business idea. And I'm curious if you could tell me more about your 12-hour breath experience, and how did that happen? What was the story there?
Oh, so working with them, or me just breathing normally? How did I find that?
What was the 12-hour thing that you were telling me about? I think you said something about a 12-hour experience or something. I could be wrong. So we're back. We were having some technical difficulties. Apparently
Australia to America, right?
Yeah, and I got a 4K camera going on here, so we need the Theta network to come in clutch here. But
appreciate it.
So is there a 12-hour story, or is there not a 12-hour story? I'm really excited.
I love it.
What the hell is this? What's going on?
So back in 2018, or maybe 2017, I got a very lucky opportunity to run an Ironman on 2 weeks' notice. And my friend who had an injury pulled out of the Ironman, and he was like, "Oh man, would you like my ticket? You look like my 17-year-old ID. You can probably sneak in." And that's a whole nother part of the story, which we'll get to, which I ended up like winging my way in, because you have to qualify for those big, like they're massive. You do 4K swim, 180-kilometer bike ride, and then run a marathon on the end. And I'd never even ran a marathon, bro. So I just remember there's my friend, calling my friend the night before the thing, bro. And he just goes, "Look, man, you'll be fine. Like, you train all day, you train every day of your life. This is just another day. It's just 12 hours of breathing." And that's all that I just kept thinking about in my head, dude. The night before, I was just like, wow, it is just me. It doesn't matter if I'm swimming, I'm biking, or I'm running. My body knows what to do. Those are simple, fundamental movements of sport. I just need to focus on the breath. And it really got me through this whole race, which was probably the most arduous thing I've ever done in my life. Like 12 and a half hours. Tough, endurance, arduous. Maybe that's not even a word. Sometimes I just wing it.
I love it. I mean, it sounds like a very masculine word. I'm going to have to start using it.
Oh man, write that one down. I don't know how to spell it. That wasn't my forte. So the good fun about that whole journey on doing an Ironman was not only like sneaking in to use my friend's ID. Everyone, I had a little pinner banner on my chest. So I'm running the race, and everyone's yelling out, go James, go James. And I was like, yeah, that will count, because they all thought my name was James on the thing. Because I was borrowing my mate's entry ticket. It was wild. It was wild. And dude, it honestly does not matter how much preparation you do. I'm sure there is some area if you haven't been preparing, but I prepared through martial arts, I guess, and took 2 weeks off martial arts and just started bike riding more, running more, and swimming more. But it did 100% just come down to the breath. So like I wasn't even doing breath work back then. I was aware of Wim Hof. I was doing a little bit of that, but when I stumbled upon the oxygen advantage and reached out to some real like formidable leaders in those areas and got courses on that, or got lessons in that, only then did my cardio go from so okay, here's what's cool. We can do this right now on the podcast as well, Max. There's a thing called the BOLT score, a blood oxygen limit threshold.
Amazing.
Right?
Okay.
BOLT. So I just want you to take a normal breath in, normal breath out. Cool. Now, the tick that we're going to try and do here, and just keep that metronome going, normal breathing, please, for me. What we're going to do is we're going to do a breath hold, but then return back to this normal breathing. I don't want your breathing to be elevated when you tap out and you stop. So taking a full breath in and taking a light breath out, you're now going to take half a breath in and half a breath out, and then just click your fingers for me so I can start the timer. Good man. Hold that breath now. Hold. And what you've got here is you want to return back to normal breathing, so don't push yourself too far. But that first indication of when you need to breathe, okay, huge. So that first indication of when you need to breathe is your limit. That's your blood oxygen limit of carbon dioxide. And so what's scary is that yours is under the recommended number of like normal breathing. Normal breathing good breathing should be about, I think it's above 24 seconds. And mine was at 17 when I first did it.
Wow.
Do you want to know what yours was?
Had to have been about 10 or 11 of
No, you got 16 and a half. So
okay,
that's not too shabby. But I'm sure because like the intensity of everyone watching on the podcast,
no, I
you had
just
to perform.
I haven't really trained it. Like I've done Wim Hof breathing was how I got introduced, and then I do Buteyko, but like only like on my walks. So I do 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, or I haven't trained the breath to like I train ATG numbers.
Nice.
Right? Like what you're talking about. I haven't dove into the BOLT score and stuff.
Cool.
So I think that's my next step. So maybe we can make this maybe we can give people as many of these methods as you possibly know. Like I think it'd be good to have it all in one spot. So whatever else whatever else you want to share about the breath, we can stick on this topic for as long as you want.
Bro, we can. Yeah, this is life for me, I guess. So the BOLT score really gives an indication of whether or not you have dysfunctional breathing. And so if anything below 24 seconds is considered dysfunctional breathing, you should be at any stage be able to take a half breath in, a little breath out, and hold to something above 24 seconds. Anything above 24 is like considered good. But
so you're waiting for like an urge or what? Like your body to say, like start screaming kind of, or when do you take that breath in?
Where you return back to normal breathing. So you could have kept pushing there, right? You could have been like, no, hold on, and take that first like where it's like shocking the system. But that's not normal breathing. That's not you waiting at the bus stop. You know what I mean? You're not doing that daily. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to find where you are on the scale at you day-to-day breathing, because how you breathe during the day, a great man said this on one of your podcasts, Jamie, how you breathe during the day is how you breathe in the nighttime. And when you breathe in the nighttime, that's your optimum chance to recover, repair, and ultimately get the best rest that you need to regenerate your body, to grow. So yeah, we need
how
to
you breathe at
capitalize
night
on.
is how you breathe during the day too, right?
And I think we can take control of it during the day. You by doing some exercises and taking a few minutes throughout the day, you can actually like own or make your breathing better during your rest when you're unconscious about it.
Mm.
Yeah, and so if you're waking up with a dry mouth, that means you're breathing through your mouth in nighttime. That means you're walking up the hill when you should be completely relaxed and floating on a bed of water lilies. Like you should be relaxed as well. Yeah, great
What
one.
an
Eh?
amazing metaphor. Yeah.
You should be, right? You don't get that when you
I
sleep on
love
wooden
that.
floors.
The
Mm,
parasympathetic, like resting on lilies. I've heard people talk about like the lion kind of resting there and breathing very quietly. That's the
mm,
parasympathetic. And the
mm,
sympathetic is more of when he's on the attack. So you're saying when
mm.
he's going up the hill, that's the sympathetic. And most people are kind of stuck in that fight mode all day.
Yeah, 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 all day. And we are the only animal species on this fucking planet, mate, that decides that working out, we need to make ourselves exhausted and then keep that going. Every other animal in the animal species, animal kingdom, if they don't catch a kill, they stop, they recover their breath, and then they look for the next one. So, what I'm saying there is that we have learned our wrong way of working out, where we think working out is us showing ourselves that we're exhausted, hands on hips. But no other animal actually does that. All other
Mm.
animals, you watch them, they're calm, they're collected in their breath. You watch a jaguar or something try and catch an antelope, and the antelope's actually really fast because it has years and years of evolution of jumping on its hooves to get away from these cat-like things. And if the cat misses it, it stops, it recovers its breath. Because if you're exhausted in the wild, you're dead. If you, it's just plain and simple like that. You will not survive because that's how animals like.
Are you saying
What is it?
that we're animals? Is that what you're saying?
We might have been apes back in the day, mate.
What do you say to
uh,
someone that tells you that we're not an animal?
bro, we're perfectly designed, I guess. Like, there's years and years of evolution that, like, I don't know. That's a really good question, Max. What do you say? I actually, I guess that's the end of the conversation usually because I know that they're not on the same trajectory or same passions. Because yeah, I guess we definitely did come from something. We evolved from something. So yeah, that's what would you say if someone said that to you, bro? Like,
Mm. Like it's
what? We're gods?
no, it's like people try to in the modern world. I don't think it's their fault, but it feels like because we're playing this, go to work, the 9 to 5, we have this whole game that we've created, virtually from nothing. Like we just kind of made this society with money and all this stuff,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Wow.
like we've disconnected so much from the true nature of our animalistic behavior. So when you say we're animals, people say,
Mm.
well, we're not animals. Animals are at the zoo and they're in the forest. And I'm like, yeah, but so are you. You're just hiding around bricks and like,
Wow.
so that's it's like we've kind of created this simulation on the planet where we're distract like Alan Watts was the first guy who
Mm,
like opened my mind to these ideas, and
cool.
love him or hate him, like he has some interesting ideas about religion and things like that. But regarding meditation, I mean, just a philosophy of living life, he really resonated with me,
Mm,
and he talks about the game, how life is a game, and every animal
yeah.
has a game. Like the birds are playing a game. They're flying, they fly from the trees
Yeah.
to the next tree, and it's like our game is just really, really complicated, and we've made it that way. And so I don't know. I guess that's probably what I would say to someone. Maybe something would click with them, but maybe not.
Yeah, probably not if they're questioning it that far.
Yeah.
I love that idea that like we are just playing a game. We are playing some sort of game, and
Yeah.
we dictate the arena. We dictate the environment. We dictate what we consider the game. And some people play the game behind the computer screen, absorbing the television. Like just so many, and then you've got the elites or athletic people, like in some CrossFit games and stuff, that are
Yeah.
thinking that their game is just bench press, just squat, just deadlift, and like that's their limited game.
Mm.
And what I think, just bringing it back into, I guess, my story is like that's why I ventured out into martial arts
Mm.
and went all in, because I saw that as a game that challenged you in an arena or without too many restrictions on rules, and allowed the freedom of expression through your own physical body type of your 8 limbs. What can you do with these, with your body? And yeah, if
Do you
we
want to
are
dive
in a
into
game,
your martial
always,
arts
yeah.
story? Because when I first met you, I had no idea that you had this extensive like background with martial arts, and like you're a freaking beast. So let's tell your
Yeah.
story, man. I'd love to give you the platform to do it.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate it. I'll start off by don't don't talk up my boxing record, because that's actually 0-2. So Torben, you'll kick my ass in that area.
Wait, that has to happen. Uh,
He's yeah, fair play. I'll accept any challenge, big man.
I'll put it
I'm
together.
sure. Yeah, an
I'm taking
international.
10% of the cut.
Yeah, man. Just give me a microphone. I'll talk to make it bigger. Yeah, dude. Look, my journey with martial arts started being a smaller dude, and like I was fucking, what's it, your weight? It would be, I was like 135 pounds. I was 130 pounds, bro. As like 18-year-old and stuff like that. Like that over here is like 60 to 61 kilos.
He's a beast.
I'm bigger now. I tell you that now, mate. But yeah, so I was quite small. I was quite small, and loved contact, mate. Would play heaps of footy and just be that little guy in the ruck, just like causing havoc. But and then once I finished school, I was like, I need to really learn how to defend myself out here in this real world, a little bit
in
deeper.
this
So I looked
in
into,
this game. Boom.
dude, and when you leave school, right, there's that, you have like all of your friends in school, like your group, but then as soon as you're out of that group, it's, you feel a little bit more vulnerable in this game, in the sense like, oh shit, there's actually so many of these other animals games that are like
Wait, as
ready
a
to
little side tangent, I don't want to lose this thought. There's this YouTube video where they're like they um they remix like these guys and girls at the gym, and they act like the gym is like a jungle. So
oh, okay.
like they talk over it like it's like the planet Earth guy, like his
Oh,
voice,
that's cool.
and the woman trucks and the like because they basically are like talking about how guys are like standing in the mirror, look, they're trying to attract the women by doing the
Right.
bicep curls, and the women
Yes,
are like
yeah.
flaunting themselves at the men, and it's so funny.
Like
I'll have to find it.
the peacocking in
I mean,
front of
because
the mirrors.
on a deep level, that's what
Yes.
we're doing. Like we are animals, like signaling to each other. Whatever. But keep going
Yeah.
with your story. Keep going with your story.
Oh man, that's funny. You'll have to link me that later because I need to
Yes, it's
see
so
that.
funny.
I love it. Okay, so yeah, I guess just being a smaller guy in a big world, mate. I stumbled into jiu-jitsu, and
Mm.
jiu-jitsu was this like, oh, I guess I researched and found out that the smaller guy can defeat the bigger human being using leverage, using weight distribution, and I had that awareness quite early on of how to like move my body against bigger people from rugby, and how to like tackle people and stuff like that. So I was like a duck in water there, man. I was having so much fun. I started training 2 times a day, and just fell in love with it, man. Like my whole work like allowed me to do that again, and I would only work just enough to make enough money to get me to the gym. And I wasn't eating well. I wasn't thriving back then as a younger fella, but I was absolutely loving it, man. And every
We'll
waking
dive
minute, I
deeper
would
into that later on the what it means to thrive on a diet.
love that. Yeah, because that's even evolved recently in the last like year. So yeah, massive, massive amount of my time. Like I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped partying. I stopped, like I wanted to on Friday night rest as much as I could. So on Saturday morning I could go punch my friends in the face, which which is hilarious because you end up realizing that those friends in that circle of group are like, they're savages as well, but they're
Yeah.
fucking the most beautiful human beings outside of that moment of like raw performance. And so I've still got some really close, like lovely friends from those encounters that I like, they're still trying to succeed in other things and other avenues, and it's so cool to watch them succeed in those areas. But unfortunately, a lot of them aren't continuing anymore in the martial arts journey because martial arts doesn't teach you how to bulletproof your body. Martial arts doesn't, it actually destroys your body. And yeah, that like, bro, like I guess like I'm going off onto a tangent there because there's
It's
so
your
much
story,
more to,
bro. You can go
yeah,
into wherever you want. Just
man,
don't
my
go for
man.
3 hours. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll need those blue light blocker glasses. Like so yeah, definitely. I love martial arts, but I guess so. Okay, so back into the story, I did jiu-jitsu, got my blue belt inside a year, winning state titles and stuff like that, having fun, and I decided to have a trip over to Thailand, and then went over there for 6 months. Living rough, rugged, but amazing because you end up paying like $4 Aussie a week, like of rent, like it's nothing. And so you can
Really?
live really, oh, it was so good, dude. Like meals were like $1.50, and you'd be like, get me 4 extra eggs, please. And so this is the first time I'd ever like had that ability to like eat more. And because I'd always been in Australia, I'd been like looking at trying to save money so I could keep training. So yeah, and I had a lot of fun over there and met some
How old were
crazy
you at
human
this point?
beings. 20. I was just turning 20. Yeah.
Wow.
And I had 3 fights over there. I got a nice, I think it's on this side, a nice little scar above the eye. I got hey, have you ever seen Anderson Silva versus Vitor Belfort?
No.
Okay, it's this moment when he does this like spider kick or something. It's a crescent kick actually. And he fakes it and he kicks up and he throws the front leg underneath and he hits him under the chin and knocks the guy out. Well, what's amazing is that happened to me. And I actually like, it's an absurd story. I ended up clenching and my teeth bit into my tongue and just cut open my inside of my mouth, and had really bad like blood and stuff like that. So yeah, a wild time, man. I had 3 fights over there and ended up coming back after the 6 months and just went on a tear. I don't think I've lost so Muay Thai is the sport that in Thailand they fight, and I came back to Australia and just kept going with Muay Thai. I had the Jiu Jitsu background and would do that on the side, but I now started to fall in love with like striking and how to knock out your opponent instead of killing them silently and quietly with like chokes and stuff like that. So yeah, and then I guess that then helped me transition to MMA maybe 2 years after that. And so I did MMA amateur for 3 fights. And then in 2016, I turned professional. So I was 25. And yeah, I was doing really, really well. And unfortunately, I think in my 4th fight, I got knocked out with a left high kick, which was pretty devastating to be on the receiving end. I think that was like my first loss in like 5 years or something like that, man. And that put I still had a job back then, and so that was massive. Had to take like 6 months off of that dream of trying to just pursue that full time.
So you wanted to be the best at that, like?
Fuck yeah. I wanted to be the best in Australia, man. I wanted to be the best bantamweight in Australia, and I still will and still do. So I'm just on the back burner in the sense of trying to heal my body at the moment from like 9.5 years of not abuse, but just going to the red line, pushing it each day, just being like, I have to show up to training. Otherwise my training partners are going to get better than me. Mm-hmm. And my ego is going to be damaged because I'm not going to be able to, like, yeah, it's a funny culture, and like training more is actually the thing that we like think is going to get us better. But and since COVID, there's been a massive shift in the way that I've been approaching training, and I guess training less and looking at the elite levels, the high ups, man. Like there's people like the best in the best, they will train only hard once a day. Well, I was trying to do that 3 times a day, 3 different areas, and trying to still run in the evening to get those extra sprint kilometers in. And it wasn't good. I wasn't getting faster. I wasn't getting stronger. My body was just getting run down. I wasn't recovering properly. And that is a major key that I guess the oxygen advantage training has helped me with, where it's like understanding how to down regulate the body to allow its muscles to repair, to grow, and to actually absorb food and digest. If we're in a sympathetic state, we're not able to absorb the amount of nutrients that we need in our body to help heal. And that down regulation of re-entering the parasympathetic state before eating meals is helped me put on extra weight, being like a real skinny endomorph sort of figure, like I'm toothpick thin. And so I've never been able to put on weight, and so now I'm actually able to put on some healthy size and feeling good, man. I mean, I've got some bounce in my Achilles that I never had before. I'm faster off the mark, and I've got to give credit where credit's due, man. Like Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy, man. He did the research that I never did. I never delved that deep into the way to move or train the body and to bulletproof it the way it did. I was just working around my injuries. So what's amazing is this whole time that I was competing, my whole left hip was underperforming. I could rarely use my left leg because it would just seize up and get nerve pain all throughout the sciatica. from, I had those tibular fibula dislocations regularly. If I moved my left leg too much. So I was always fighting off my right side. So my whole body and my whole game of how I would attack and approach these martial arts is just high level problem solving, right? And like I was only
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
solving with one side of my body.
Mm.
So now that I'm like a year into ATG, and I'm looking forward to this next year of gains and building more ability. I'll then compete after that. I'm in no rush to get back into it just now, but then I'll have both sides of my body working, both sides utilized correctly. So yeah, man,
Yeah,
it's
muscle imbalances is insane, and that's a topic in and of itself. But I'm
mm,
sure you've experienced that, especially with martial arts. So you kick the same way over and over and over, and then you end up with a left hip that's just
yeah,
not up to par with your right.
yeah, yeah, and no one, unfortunately, none of the coaches in that area like are well versed enough to like be like, oh, you need to work on your Patrick steps or get deep on the split squat or something like that. Or it just isn't in it. It's oh, we'll show up tomorrow and hopefully it's rested. Or my parents' bloody fucking mantra: stop, slow down, rest. That doesn't help
Yeah,
anything though. Like
put it
like
in a brace. That's what I
yeah.
got. Right, like I'm still recovering from this like wrist injury, and I mean, my idea now is let's just get the most jacked forearms in the like on the planet, you know? And I never thought of that. It was always just what's wrong with my wrist? But it's
Mm,
Ben is and Ben had that same idea, but yeah, he decided, okay, maybe what if we get really strong in all of these areas and we
mm,
can learn how to heal the body according
yes.
to nature. So,
That's the fascinating thing, man. It's like
what's your ATG
the,
story?
man, oh, definitely. So I started February last year, and I just jumped into the like the zero program just off of whims. Like I didn't think I had knee pain, but I was like,
Mm.
oh, let's see if this can actually fix my hip. And turns out I had knee pain. Like I couldn't get into the
Doesn't everybody to a certain
yeah.
degree? I mean, it's like I would never even have classified myself as someone who had knee pain in high school, but like my knees hurt. It was just like, oh, that's how it is. That's you
Yeah.
play basketball all year, your knees will hurt. That's just how it is. It's like,
Mm.
no, it doesn't have to be like that.
Doesn't and that's what's amazing, man. Like I guess so yeah, I I thought I would be able to get into the split squat. I could, and just then the pain was like immense. And so so for the first 3 months I just did the online program. Did the online program. Uh Felt great doing it, but it was definitely missing some like key links to it. And
Mm.
that's when like I saw the ATG for coaches programming and looked into what Keegan was doing and how much like physical ability he had even in his upper body that I was definitely lacking in as well. And that man has some really it's not gifted, it's he's
Earned.
attained these, yeah, he's earned these positions that like the gymnasts, like elite level gymnasts are doing, and he's up there. And I was like, man, I've got to learn from this guy as well. And I think it was like about 4 months in that things started to just click, and the gain started to gain momentum. And I think maybe also just probably finally dominating the tibs and getting a tib bar really helped as well.
Mm.
Um, yeah, because I was really, really weak in that area. So yeah, so my story off that comes that like get into it, start, but find yourself an ATG coach because they can give you cues that will allow you to accelerate and gain quicker but better and address those problems that you've probably had for 10 years that you're overlooking yourself, and you need someone else's eyes to see what you're making as those mistakes, or those trained conditions, or those trained motor patterns that you yourself like can't actually fucking see the difference in. You're like, oh, that's just normal. But having someone that is well versed in these things can actually identify them and be like, no, that's wrong. For instance, like my left hip flexor was so weak compared to my right. My right tib was so weak to my left. But it took me that 4 months of my own like figuring out to finally be like, oh, like the water balloon popped above my head. And all of a sudden I was just like, oh, I get it. Like, this is why we're strapping a weight to the foot, to finally balance this out, to really work at evening out this body here. So yeah, and so what, it's coming up a year now for me. I can do I can do things that I never thought I could do. So this February I started doing a little bit late, but February 6th, I think, February 7th, I started doing squat every day. And man, I guess I'd never, in my whole martial arts journey as a youngin', I'd never actually squatted with weight, because I was always so scared of my hip and the flare up that would happen after that. But now I can do it at full depth with body weight. Like the gains are unreal, and it makes me so happy. And I want to just yell it out to everyone and like spread it to everyone, because I myself have gained so much, and I know so many other people that can. And I guess the 8 other people that I have as clients have gained so much as well, and they're getting better athletically, and they're just average Joes, bro, that just like want to perform better. And so I'm really looking forward to this, like going into the martial arts area, and we can see it even with like George St. Pierre. There's other people that are popping up in that scene. That it will be a thing in the near future, man.
It's pretty wild. At this moment in time, it's George St. Pierre might be the largest name besides Joe Rogan that's advocating for ATG.
There it is.
Andrew Huberman just shouted Ben out, but he called him Ben Parker instead of Ben Patrick.
The ATG Spider-Man.
I want to document at what moment in time, because like there's, in my opinion, Ben's at 1 million followers right now. He's gonna have like 100 million followers in like less than 5 years. Like you said, everybody who does this shouts it out. Like I have a podcast where I'm interviewing ATG coaches because I want to get the message out to the world. And I'm obviously taking it to the extreme, but everybody who does this program does it to a certain degree. That Mj DeMarco calls this concept like a productocracy, where the product sells itself, because when you can turn a man from having a weak hip into squatting full depth like that's just wow. He's obviously going to tell his friends about that one, right?
Man, it's heaven. It's quality of life. And I say it to people that like Ben Patrick breathed life into me in the same way that Keegan Smith did as well. Like they breathed a new life into me, a new professional avenue as well. Like I was maybe over the hill or something, like getting old, but I feel younger than ever. I'm 29 years young. Like, and the gains are just, man, I get excited to get out of bed, to get after it. And I've always had that, but I'd always do it with like a niggle and like a limp or a struggle. Whereas now I can run full sprint and then do that again the next day. And this is how the gains are going to keep going. It's that ability to stay consistent without getting injured. And so I'm super excited to see Ben Patrick dunking when he's 40, you know, and then that just motivating me, being like, wow, I'm like 30 something now. I'm sure that I could my goal is to sprint faster. I want to be able to dunk eventually. I got a client and a great friend that he wants to be able to dunk. He's just come out of shoulder surgery for from years of like slamming tennis balls and doing really, really good in that. And he just reached out to me. He's like, bro, we were working with ATG. And I was like, yeah. He's like, can we dunk? How long is that going to take? I was like, oh, well, maybe it'll take 2 years, considering neither of us have ever been close to touching the rim. But let's have a go. And so I'm going to jump on the back of his momentum and start really trying to focus on like working with that as well. Because jumping is definitely, I think it has one of the major keys to longevity as well. It's like grip strength, jumping and standing up. I think are 3 keys. Andrew Huberman.
I mean, grip, you're hanging onto trees. Jumping, you got to jump onto the tree. I mean, and then running, like, it's just like evolutionarily, what are the most important things to have? And I never made that connection until right now. But
beautiful.
It's very ancestral, that idea.
Yeah. That keeps us alive in the animal kingdom. And if we don't work on our breath, just to bring it full circle, if we don't work on our breath, we'll end up being exhausted, and the animal that's behind us will end up killing us.
So I think this is a good transition. I have a surprise.
Legend.
I've had this food waiting for me. Raw beef and eggs.
Love it.
So, okay,
love it.
For some context, and anybody who can't see the video, so we got this raw meat experiment guy on Instagram now, and he's sitting outside of Whole Foods, and he has about 100,000 followers. He's only been doing this like 90 days, and he's causing this like upheaval because people are like, "What the hell is this guy doing? How is he eating raw meat?" Now, I've been on carnivore for 8 months, and it's been amazing for me. Mentally, it's like everything, physically, emotionally. I mean, it's just like it feels amazing. I can't explain it, and it's almost like ATG. And so I'm starting to shout it out to people. I'm starting to go live and talk about it on Instagram and things like that because I know it's just like, you know how you can get one person to ATG? You can literally change their entire life because this community can take you in and make you feel like a brother. And so that's what I want to do with people. And I know you've been eating animal-based, so while I start diving into this, first of all, I've never eaten raw beef before. I've only eaten raw liver and eggs and heart and some organs, but I've never done the beef. So I thought it'd be nice to do it live on the podcast. I'm not going to be talking much, even though I just ranted. So I want to give you like your chance to explain the whole thing and how does it fit in, especially how does it fit in with this? Because the big theme that I'm picking up from you is this ancestor thing. So how does this whole eating meat thing fit in with that idea? Bon appetit.
You gotta, man, that's a great way to put it. Hey, it's like the ancestral sort of being. And so I think the more that we like strip back and play the game of getting back to what got us here, we end up finding a few answers because everything that we might, or everything that's creating our problems very well might be some inputs or things that we've created. So I guess what I've got to tell people is like, if you're not thriving on the diet that you're eating right now, you very well might need to. It's not bad, eh? Not bad.
No. I'm going to back up the microphone so people don't get like,
okay.
like a sexy ASMR chewing meat sound.
Raw meat experiment. Love it. So yeah, I'm on the page of getting back to the basics, but stripping back and allowing tools to regain the things that we might have lost. So I guess with the diet, it's like, what did we eat before? Well, when we were hunters and gatherers, we wouldn't eat heaps of different arrays of fruit. You would only eat the bush of fruit that you would have found. So keeping it simple like that. that allows your digestive system to absorb the maximum amount of nutrients, to not be overloaded with all of these, I guess, like different minerals, different nutrients and all of that, and just push it out the other end. It allows you to absorb it. And what's amazing is when you go like carnivore and you just start eating more simpler meat, you actually don't end up like doing as many poops. You end up realizing that your body just absorbs it. You're like, oh, what the hell is that? An efficiency? Or, and I'm in the same boat. I ate vegan for maybe like 10 months, maybe 9.5 months, vegetarian, and yeah, I wasn't vegan, I was vegetarian. And like, I thought I was thriving, thought I was doing great. But then I just wasn't feeling like as good. I wasn't thriving. And what's amazing is now, since eating more nutrient dense, quality products, like even the meat that I was eating might have been less quality, like the grain-fed meat, and now once finding a good grass-fed, grass-finished source of meat, shout out Mackenzie's Meats, yeah, buddy, you can notice the difference not only in the taste, the quality, but the energy output that you're putting out there. And so I gotta just say, it's like, if you're not thriving on your diet right now, like thriving, like feeling that upbeat energy, you might need to change something. And I think that's a lot of
How would you define thriving? So like, that's a big question, because there are a lot of people who are doing these other diets, and even it's not about dogmatic. It's not like, guys, eat raw meat and eggs only. It's like, it's just eat better foods, and
nice,
and eat the diet that
whole
fits
foods.
First of all, whole foods, but it does seem that people are quote unquote, thriving on this carnivore and this more meat based. So how would you characterize it?
It's a great question, eh? And I guess that's what like people go to doctors for. You know what I mean? They go to doctors to be like, I need this pill to make me not feel like I've got headaches or something like that. So yeah, everyone has their own outlook for what thriving is. And I think a Buddhist monk has a different attitude to what athletes want to do. So I guess it would come down to how much energy can you put out, how well are your sleeps, do you have a weak bladder? Like there's all these little keys that your body will give you. Is your body is teaching you. Like pain is a teacher, or the same way if you get pimples, if you're fucking feeling bags under your eyes, like it's your body's telling. If you're getting like, your body's telling you what you might be deficient in. So listen to what your body is communicating. And so that's just like, listen. And here's the real key. If you eat something and then you have some sort of decrease in energy, or you feel lethargic, or something like in your brain or in the back of the mind or something just doesn't like it, maybe maybe it's the food, maybe it's the thing that you just consumed. And that can even happen with water. I've noticed that massively now that I've started to like really filter my water, and I now even have a bore water source, which I'm super stoked with. And bore water is like the water that's been underneath the ground, untouched by humans at all. And if you're lucky, like you can find those sources around, like people that have farms and stuff out here in Australia can get bore water, and it just has a more fuller quality taste. And so if I was to drink tap water nowadays, I'd be like, oh, hang on, there's something. I notice the change not only in the taste, but I can feel how my body reacts to it. So I think what people need to do is they need to fucking put the screens down, stop looking at the blue light, and fucking listen to what their body is telling them. after they consume things, after they have that input. And so that comes to like listening. And we don't do this because we create too many distractions in our life, and we allow those distractions to take control. And but that's modern society, right? Oh, look over here, it's a bright screen, and also the sports game over here, and boobs over here, and other things over there. It's just constantly trying to draw your attention, and not work inwards. So yeah, man. How are you? Are you strict carnivore now, or like real strict? You're eating
I
fruits?
was. I was for a long time, and now I just added honey a couple days ago.
Love honey.
So
Love
good.
honey. Yeah.
And then I think I'll add fruit within the next month or so. But I think that's kind of what it takes. Um, Specifically when you're in a dark spot, like
Mm.
if you're really struggling, like I was really in a dark spot. So I think I needed to go the elimination and go all in,
Hmm.
do the meat
Beautiful.
and eggs, but then your gut heals and
Yeah.
you could start adding food. Like the end of the day, it's Ben Patrick's principle. Inclusion, not exclusion, right? You don't want to be the guy that can only eat meat and eggs. Like if that's I mean, could we do it? Like yeah, there are tribes that do it, but
Mm.
do you want to be the guy that goes to the restaurant and says I can't have the blueberry because it hurts my stomach? Like no, I don't want to be that guy either. So I do know that like you said that I think that's beautiful what you said about listening to yourself. Like
Listening. Mm.
yeah, I
How does the
when you're
body
drinking
respond?
mm, yeah, it's like one of the most I mean, if I go back to how I was eating before, I would get man, I just ate. Sorry about the spit. Um
The first for everything on a podcast, mate.
so I was eating Chipotle, which is like a Mexican restaurant in America. With steak, beans, rice, veggies, like a couple times a week. And this is regarded as like health food in America, kind
Mm.
of like the health fast food. But I felt like shit every time I would eat it. I would go take the most disgusting. I would just get, like your bowels are not. Maybe it was the beans, maybe it was the veggies. I don't
It's
know,
all of it.
but like it's it's this common like idea even with veggies, like I would eat broccoli and Brussels sprouts and this is supposedly good for me. I'd be making kale chips where I roast the kale in the
Yeah.
oven and it's so good. It actually tasted really good, but I I, I felt like shit after. Like I'd literally get
Yeah.
gassy and I think the weirdest like mind flip for me was like, oh, gas isn't healthy. Like if you're
Nice.
burping and
Wow.
you're gassy and you feel like lethargic after you eat and you go into this coma because you ate so much food, it's like no 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 that's not thriving. If you think you're thriving, you're not.
Yeah. 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 And there's so many other little keys to that as well. With like the pimples in the body. I think
Mm.
weak bladder as well, diarrhea. Just the list goes on, right? And
Pimples is
we're
really
being,
interesting. It's toxins coming out of the body, essentially,
yeah,
right? So whether it's on your back, it's on your face. Like when I go on the carnivore diet, my face clears up. If that's not a sign to you that like something
yeah,
is, something you kind of like
working,
just you glow. The body's like, okay,
bro.
we don't
You've
need
got
to
that.
eliminate
Mm.
anything anymore. We don't need to. It, it's it's so obvious once you see it that the pimples are the body's way of saying get this out of here.
Yeah, yeah,
And the answer is
and
probably not take this pill.
which is what our modern society white coats do, is they don't address the inner, the core of the being, and they just say, oh, keep doing what you want to do, just just put this pill on top. And there's so many people that are ruining their guts and ruining, just putting a band-aid. It's a band-aid solution. And unfortunately, it's yeah, unless you want to take real action. And these are the people I want to be around in the community, man. People that have those passions to take action and stand up and own the space at which they're trying to be in the future, and like be like, oh, this isn't for me. I want something better. And they'll put their foot down, and then instead of like hiding behind closed doors, they'll stand proud and say like, this is what I'm doing now. And it's not about exclusion. It's about I eat this. It's not saying like I don't eat this. It's I do this now. I'm doing this now. And weirdly, I got that when I started to switch to vegetarianism. I was like, oh, I can't eat this. I can't eat that. But then I was like, oh, hang on. I can still eat some things. What can I eat? And it was that little switch of a mentality in the mind. And I've just now expanded that now. And yeah, I have no dogma towards it. And if you're thriving on vegetarianism, like awesome, go strong. It just didn't work for me. So I'm just gonna keep going and keep living through experience, bro. I think that's one of the greatest things to do is like test and trial it yourself. Like I used to love, or still love it actually, like oats with like some honey and some fruit on top. But bro, I've had to stop it because body doesn't like it. And if you want to get the gains that we're talking about, hey, what's even more amazing is my knees would actually flare up if I ate bread. And like legit, like I'd be like, oh, that tightness on the inner part of it. I was like, I had bread today. I kid you not. And it's like, oh, done.
Wow.
As soon as you have, so for me, it's through that experience, right? It's once you see it and you're like, oh, that's the reason that's happening. Oh, fucking boom. I'm knocking the nail on the head.
Does diet relate to mental health?
Massive. There's like more bacteria in your gut than there are human beings on this planet. And if we know through community, just in our surroundings, if you have negative people in your surroundings, that brings the energy of the room down. Well, if you have those negative beings in your belly, they're probably like starting to be like, yes, more of that negative stuff, more of those jelly beans, more of that not nice stuff. And they're trying to populate and grow those negative. And so just thinking that there's more living beings in your gut that are actually controlling your impulses or your cravings, that was a major key for me to connecting to this being and able to strip it away. So at the start of COVID, mate, coming back to my story a little bit here, I was meant to fight for one of the best in Australia back in April 2020. I was going to fight for an Australian title belt in MMA. I have a record of 8-2, and it was going to be a good one, get one of those belts, put it up on the wall. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, COVID really hit and everything shut down. So in April, I'd been training hard. I was raring to go, and I had no outlet. So instead of just keeping going, I was like, fuck, I'm just going to stop. I started to assess it, and I did a 3-day fast. And during that fast, man, the most amazing things happened. Like pimples popped out of me. It was just like the body loved it in the sense like out of my forearm and stuff. It was really weird. And it was my gut resetting completely. And ever since then, a massive shift in my diet and my change of life has happened. I ended up doing 100 days, no refined sugars, like no sugars at all. This is like the first part of COVID 2020. And so, yeah, I did 100 days, no sugar, and realized that sugar was a massive craving and an addiction that allowed me to sort of disconnect from the day. And I was like, oh, hang on, no, I want to stop this. And that's those microbiome, that's those little gut things that are like talking to you or talking with you, being like, oh yes, more of that. So yeah, man, I think it's a major key. I think and you have to sometimes do these eliminations in order to allow the body to completely flush or reset. And I think you've done that with the carnivore diet, and I did it with the fast. I did it with the fast, and then
So what's
moved
happening
into
with the fast? Because I got into fasting maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
yeah.
intermittent fasting, and then I did one really long term one, which was
Ooh,
a really awesome set. It was Elliot Holst. It was like a 5 day thing, and basically I think it was like 60 hours, then you eat a small meal, and then 72 hours. I lost like 10 pounds, but I felt so healthy afterwards. Like I was really lean, but I went to like I was just sitting in my room watching movies and taking baths and things. Like I needed to like
yeah.
chill. But and actually at the end of
Yeah.
the 72 hour, I don't want to talk
Yeah.
too much about myself because it's
Please.
your
Uh,
podcast.
no, man, this is cool. I know that
But
feeling, right? Where you can't do anything. Hey,
I
you're like,
was
oh,
I was working. So I was doing it with my cousin. He introduced me to it, and it was like we were both 60 hours in, and we're like, we're not gonna eat tonight, okay? And I'm like, okay, like we got to make it to the morning. And he went out with his friends, and he ended up drinking beer and having a. It was like the worst way you could possibly. Like if you're gonna break a
yeah,
fast, like at least have some bone broth or like do it
yeah.
the correct way, if there is a correct way. But I was delivering pizzas, and it was the hardest night of my life because I wanted
That
to eat
smell,
so bad.
like your
Oh my
smell sensors would have been going through the
oh my
roof.
god, pizzas and burgers and beef sandwiches in my
No,
car all night. It was like but anyway, that was a really
wow,
interesting experience and
that's
the
huge.
the more like philosophical take that I've come to understand on it is that when your body obviously it starts to burn fat when you go into fasting instead of carbs, instead of what you've eaten, and that's burning fat for fuel. But there's this idea that when the food is not in the body or when the body is in fasting mode, it has less to worry about, so it can then look at itself and start to kind of solve its own problems. It can start looking at your joints
Nice.
and so there's like these miracles where people have uh, injuries and the body heals
Mm.
itself in a deep fast and things like that. What do you know about that? Because I honestly don't know that much, but it just makes intuitive sense to me that the body would do that.
Yeah, I'm on that board, man. Like it makes sense that once you stop wasting, like allowing the energy resources of your body to focus on digestion, it can now send those resources to other areas. And to me, that like that's just intuition 101 again. And and I felt it, man. Like I could feel like that inflammation sort of leave the body and just allow some form of healing. And there was definitely a mental side as well, where it's like heals there as well. So I think that's a massive key to sort of what our society isn't talking about is limit things or just getting back to those basics, isn't it? And let's
Food is kind
start
of
with nothing.
shoved in our face, right? It's on
Yeah.
every advertisement, every you can't go into public without or even like watch TV. It's like 80% of the
Yeah.
ads are whoa, like Wendy's and McDonald's and whatever.
Yeah. Wouldn't you like this? I'm like, oh, I guess I would, but it's not really worth the mouthgasm. I like looking at it like that nowadays. Yeah, it's like, is this worth the mouthgasm? This worth the mouth orgasm? Because, like, yeah, look, man, I'm not too strict because I fucking train so much. That like I get to enjoy some cheeky treats with a lovely woman every now and again. Like I love a good dark chocolate every now and again. But what I'm getting at
But that's
is
our real food. I
yeah,
mean, to a
yeah,
certain degree, right? I mean, it's not
that's
like
it,
you're
man.
eating Kit Kats and
The,
Skittles.
yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, far out now. I'm thinking about food. I just
Me
had some
too.
raw liver before actually getting on this podcast, and that's the coolest thing of getting those responses of where your body like enjoys enjoys it. I've lost my train of thought because the raw liver is a new thing as well.
Well,
How
I
much?
mean, go ahead. What do you say? The
No,
raw
I was
stuff?
like, how much raw liver are you eating when you
Yeah,
smack some of
I
that down?
honestly like
100
I've just
grams?
started doing the raw stuff because of this guy. Like I just wanted to test it out. Um, and my body is like fine with it. It doesn't act up. So it's like we were saying, like right now, I actually my gut it feels really good. I just ate that raw meat. It doesn't feel. I'm not getting bloating. I feel like I could go run a marathon. I mean, my knees
Love it.
couldn't, but I mean, hopefully, in enough ATG training, I'll get there. But yeah, so this I guess this would be a good transition. How much time do you have? Because I don't want to go like super deep, but
Well, let's go a little bit more deep because it's good fun and it's an upside down podcast, mate. This might be the best podcast around. So, yeah,
yeah.
let's keep going, man. I appreciate
So
it. I
this
don't
is
even know what the
a
time is, mate. It's been a bloody great
it's probably
chat
been an
already.
hour and a half at least. I kind of was at this point where I was like, I want to limit these podcasts to an hour and a half or an hour or whatever because people can't make it that long. But like, and I think people can. I think we're cutting it short. Like, if you really, obviously, a 20-minute podcast is great, and if you want that, I'm gonna make those too. But for
Right.
these kind of talks where we're going deep into life and like, I want to learn your story and have it documented for forever. Like, I want someone,
Love it.
if you for some reason had to leave this earth, w- wouldn't it be so much better that we went a little deeper and people could come back and listen to you talk? Like, so with that being said.
Love it.
I
Yeah.
have I actually
Continue.
have another podcast show that I just started and I go back and
Yeah.
forth with what the names are called and stuff, but I'm calling it NoFap Freedom.
Love
Um,
it.
and whether it's NoFap or it's semen retention or all these things, I want to dive into this because first of all, I know you've dabbled with this kind of thing, and
Yeah.
also we could talk about just in general this idea of the mouthgasm, like you were just talking about, and like learning to not become so, which was hilarious. First of all, I haven't really heard that. Um, like not relying on your senses to bring you
Mm.
happiness and learning to
Mm.
generate it yourself. And if you do want to dive into your experience with the retention and all that, that would be
Yeah.
awesome too.
Massive. Yeah, I guess it definitely started when I like would build up for competitions. Like you just realize that it was like, oh fucking that's a waste of energy. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, it wasn't until I like grew into a little bit of an older age, man, that it became like a real definitive thing. It was like, oh, I don't watch porn anymore. Full stop. And yeah, and then you realize that it's like this. Like it's so powerful and it needs to be said. And I just want to like preach to you, man, that you're doing something amazing that needs to be spread out to the younger generation, to the next levels of boys becoming men, because it's so easy to be caught into these like traps of pleasure and through food, through entertainment. And I really harp on the fact, and because I've got some young men that are coming up behind me that I train with and stuff like that. And it's like, you guys, like it's free for a reason. Like this is my speech. It's like it's free for a reason because it doesn't give you anything. It's fucking valueless. The reason it's free is just because it doesn't give you anything. And man, you'd probably be like I've sent your work, your playlists and stuff, and countless of your videos to several of my friends, dude. Just being like,
Mm.
this guy's on another level, man. At your age, to fucking put your flag in the sand and say no, no more. That's that's not only mad control, man, but I'm so excited to see where your energy output now that is not being wasted on that, where it's going to go. And I really think, man, like two hands to you, man. I'm excited to see what your productive paradise sort of can create from that, man. So
I'm just
yeah,
excited to see what happens for the people. Like, I really appreciate you
yeah,
calling me out and Like I think it's sometimes
Crazy,
I
man.
forget what kind of crazy shit I'm doing, like with the challenges and what I commit to, and it's
There's too many things, bro. You got too
it
many things.
becomes so easy and like effortless when you do it in a like in an appropriate way,
Yeah,
and you learn the stuff,
yeah.
that it's almost like, oh, it's not like people look at you like you're crazy, but it's not that crazy once you. It's all just little steps, in my opinion. You do one
Little
thing, you do the
steps.
next thing, and
Nice.
but I'm really excited because I know that, like, changing your habits is like the foundation of what it takes to change your life. So I think by making this more of what I do for my life,
Mm.
um, devoting to helping people change their habits, that's that's just how you kind of can spark the core and get people. Because once people get on the train, if you can get someone on NoFap, they are going to change for the rest of their life. So,
Yep.
and that's kind of what, I guess that's kind of what we do as trainers in general. We get people on the path, and then we help, like, we hope that they will leave us. Like, I just heard someone say that if you're still working for your boss after 10 years, your boss failed you, because you're not supposed to be. He's supposed to teach you how to go do your own thing. Basically, that's what a boss is made for. So, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool.
What else about your
Well, I could harp on one real quick, right? Because when I didn't have a partner, it was
mm,
like, oh yeah, porn was like an outlet or whatever. It was just like simple. But then when you get a partner and you're like, oh yeah, like let's just and you realize actually that you male orgasm is actually only to recreate, and that you should only be letting like those your sperm to go out there to if you wanted to populate with your woman. And there's a lot of like books on this and stuff that Buddhist monks, I guess, and all of that will talk about going down to heirlooms and sleeping with the village women, but holding on to their semen retention and building the greatest energy up, and that this is the strongest meditation practice ever, to be able to please your woman but without releasing your semen. And so this is like I struggle with it, don't get me wrong, like, but goddamn I still practice it, you know what I mean? And
wow.
like it is one of the most palpable things ever, and it has made me remove from seeing sex as like a, not as a chore, but as like a like as a pleasure thing, like one of these mouthgasms again, like, oh, done, yay, into actually a ceremony,
Wow.
into a complete union of a ceremony and a connection between you and your partner, where it's you're vulnerable with each other, I guess, and you're open and expressive to the point that um, yeah, that you're sharing in this beautiful union of body parts. It's a strange thing to talk about, but yeah, it's the truth though, right? Like it's rare, and I guess that's why Muslim women like cover up their bodies and stuff, right? It's like sacred. We're not meant to see the beauty of the woman and stuff like that.
Mm.
And so I guess through my own experience, and in this book that I read on the monks and stuff, like speaking about it, where they were like talking about like when you hold on to your semen retention, that's your energy, and that when you make your partner or the female ejaculate, the woman come, that's that energy can be built, like gives to you. And through experience, man, and through practicing it now for maybe 6 and so months, I'm big onto it, man. It's so it's not fun. It's more like uplifting and empowering, because if the male ejaculates and comes, and it's the end, it's like, oh, and what does porn do? It's taught us that that's like the greatest thing ever, but it fucking, that's a lie. It isn't. And there's so many lies. Shoes, lies. School system, lies. This as well, it's another lie. It's one of those things that's caught up into, oh, I see it on the TV, it must be real. But to experience letting your woman come several times, and you just get to enjoy the roller coaster ride and ride the ceremony of love and enjoyment with them, it's something special, man. And it needs to be spoken about more, how to be a man that supports their woman in that sexual relationship, instead of downgrading them, and which is what the fucking porn does, man. It's like, oh, tits and ass, and like, yeah, that's great, but it actually isn't love. It isn't what the unity of sexual energy is, and pro-recreation. And we forget that, man. We forget that through like the aimless like misogyny of like trying to find on the Saturday night, the so many, like, what is it called, like, I've done it for years, where it's like you're out and find just a random sexual partner.
Yeah, they call it. It's like the hookup culture, basically.
The hookup culture, yeah. Tinder,
Yeah.
where it's so empty. It's so empty. It's so empty, and it leaves you like, left me with no energy, man. It was a waste of energy, and I wish, man, there was people like myself, or bro, more people like you at your age, and I could hear that at that age, where it was like, oh my god, there's another way to thinking about this. There's a different approach. There's something that could benefit me better.
It's so out of
So
left
yeah,
field, though. It's so bizarre that, you know, at
so
the same time,
lost.
it's not, though, because the way you were describing it there, we're comparing a man who sits in the corner and jacks off to women on a screen and basically tells his body that you're just either, you
Yeah,
know, you're either you're either sitting in the corner literally looking at women, or you're actually like having sex with these women, versus what you're now doing is, like, to me, almost the most selfless act. And not, I don't have anything against being selfish. I think that's kind of a very natural human. Everything you
mm-hmm.
do is selfish to a degree. So, but
Yeah,
Matthew McConaughey opened me up to that idea. But like, this
own it.
act of providing your woman with an experience of
Mm.
bliss, of joy, and you're not, but also at the same time, you,
You
I
are.
know, I know from this practice the feeling you can get of what they call like a full body orgasm, or like where you transmute your energy and you get it to your
Mm.
fingertips, and you get it to your head and you get tingles. Like, is that what the experience is like? It's not
Yeah,
you're not releasing the energy
yeah,
out, and it's not all exiting in one um apex,
yeah.
momentous, whatever you want to call it, but it's actually circulating like throughout, I guess. Is that what it's more
Love
like?
it, bro. Bingo. Yeah, I couldn't say it any better, other than like, just like you just lean back and you just like enjoy it, yeah. And like the head has to go back as well, like full scorpion it up. Yeah.
Oh man.
Love it, man. You
Man.
brought the best out of me, bro. That was fucking awesome. Yeah, dude, you nailed it on the head, man. And not succumbing to and it comes back to the food loop, right? Like, this mouth goes in. It's like it's pleasure just for now. Only while it's in your mouth. And then while it goes down into your belly, it's like, oh, this is not good anymore. That's the same thing. So in the
Mm.
corner, it's it's
Oh, well, yeah,
it's
like here
such a
I just
disconnect of
drew the analogy like
go on.
with the food, it would actually be like, eating the meat and the eggs and the honey and the fruit and the whole foods, eating that. It actually, first of all, it does taste really good. Like to me it does because your body really wants it. But then
Once it
your body actually experiences a full body pleasure because it's thriving, because it's like, but it lasts longer. So it might not taste like okay, yes, I do love burgers and eggs now, but do they taste as good as like, the fast food? And like maybe not. Like those are still super stimuli and they're designed to kind of peak my dopamine and all that stuff. So those are still those super stimuli, but
mm,
as like any great person will tell you, it's in James Clear's book. Like it's in I mean, I don't know if James
yes,
Clear is one of the legendary philosophers, but like it's in every philosophy book of sacrificing the short term, results and the short term pleasure for the long term. And Ben talks about it. Everybody talks about it. So if
mm,
you can do that on a smaller scale, how could we
mm.
apply that to everything? I kind of want to go into this. Like we've done it for
Wow,
the food and we've done it for the sex, basically, right? The energy. What
nice.
else is there that you can put where you can take a short-term satisfaction, like maybe social
Yeah.
media scrolling, and how can we turn it into a long-term pleasure?
Yeah, it's a good one. Hey, I was thinking like for exercise, you're definitely thinking of like that longevity training, I guess. Like instead of just training for the biceps for the now, it's like train your tendons, train the ligaments, and then the biceps will come eventually. Like
Yep.
that's what's happened in my physique.
Yep.
I never held any attachment to like how I look, and that was a problem. Like not a problem, but like it definitely showed in my body of work. If like there's photos of me that it's like it's just like, oh, well, it was just a normal dude. And now what's amazing is now that I've been training the tendons and the ligaments, my physique has just fucking gone into God mode in my own words or my own eyes. So yeah, I think that could be for the training. For the social media thing, man, that's a tough one though, right? Like what would you say? Like it's like only scroll if you know what the pages are or something like that. If you know that they're motivating pages.
Mm.
I love that like the scroll is starting to become a common thing now. Like I
Yeah.
call people out on it, bro. Like the scroll. Are you having a scroll? Like
Yeah, it's like
it's
right
just a
now. Like
thing, isn't it?
we're having a podcast and then someone just pulls their phone out and they start
For a
scrolling. And
scroll.
like and I've experienced this so many times in person where you you're literally
Yeah.
like I don't even know how to act when it happens. Like I often if I'm doing it, I just stop talking and I start focusing on something else and hopefully that person realizes that I've given up on them.
Reality.
I'm like, "Yep, no, I'm giving up on you." Like what else am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to say, "Hey, we're talking right
No.
now?" Like I don't want to get mad because I do it too. That's the sad thing. It's like I'm making people feel like this. That's so sad. So,
Wow.
how do we
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm trying to become someone on social media who helps people. So I have to be on this thing 6, 7, 8 hours a day helping people. Like I don't have to be. I get to be. I want to be on there. Like I do love it.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I think if we do the and I know I asked you the question, but like if we do the short term thing,
And please.
um,
Yeah.
short
Please.
term pleasure is scrolling. Long term pleasure is connecting with your friends, like you and me.
Oh.
Like what we're doing right now. This is beautiful. This is like I can tell we're gonna be friends for a long time, and we just connected
Yeah,
on a
man.
DM on Instagram. So
Yeah, bro.
these things like you can form. I can't even count. I had reached a point in my life where I had
hmm
one friend, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is so sad. And the amount of amazing people I felt on and connected with on
Yeah.
Instagram, like it's I don't know if you've had a similar
It,
experience, but it's scary
truly.
because I know you're probably a similar guy where you went through that phase where you were like, I don't want to be on Instagram at all. Like I want to avoid all this stuff.
Yeah. And then you realize that there's connections that can be made through it. And so it's like utilizing the tool. I really like think it's like, yeah, as we get back to the ancestral diet and back to how our ancestors were, we need to strip away things. But we can still use tools. We still need to use hammers. We still need to use weights to get into certain things. And so it's understanding that using Instagram as a tool, using it for business or using it for growth in that area. And so I really think a way that is good is like Instagram could be used for accountability and stuff like that. If you put like it out there, you're like, oh, fucking, I'm doing this. And so I don't use Instagram much purely because I know that it catches my attention just through that. And so I've tried to like knuckle it down, and I use Telegram a lot more. So I send out like what I'm going to be doing to like my triathlon friends or my tennis bro that wants to dunk and stuff. I'm like, man, I'm squatting. This is what I'm doing this month. And a lot of that uncommon thing, like, man, I've radiated out into my community and just be like, this is what I'm trying to like picture. So I haven't mastered the social media thing yet, bro, but it sounds like you're on the precipice of it, of like really honing into how to do. Yeah. And that will be a course in itself.
It's a hard thing. I mean, it's I don't know, like I think social media is really not my favorite thing in the world. Like it's not. I actually think YouTube is my favorite. Like I was always drawn to YouTube because it's but you still get the scrolling on there. So I use YouTube only to search and now share stuff because like I was thinking about it today. I've always wanted to just go on YouTube. Like it just has such a hub of information.
It's an encyclopedia basically, man.
Where else can we go with this talk? Because you're this accountability thing is really interesting to me too. You basically you get accountability on your goals by
putting it out.
And is that what you learned from Keegan and the uncommon thing? What's your story with that?
Yeah, good question. I think I had it from an earlier stage where I would just write it down. Like I wrote down that I wanted to make it into the UFC with my MMA fighting before 30. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen at this stage in my life. But just through writing things down, I think is where it started. And then with the Uncommon group, the Uncommon Success group with Keegan, that just accelerated it, man, and made it really more aware of how to make those goals more attainable. So instead of me just like fluffing around and like thinking that I was on those goals, we brought it into like with the Uncommon group, it's the month, you know what I mean? Like we're working like those 21 days, bro, you can create some massive change and create some really good habits. And I think that's a real big thing that needs to be put out there. It's like, if you want to create something or change something, do it for 21 days, then talk to me. It's like the same thing, do 100 miles of sled, you know what I mean? You've got to do a certain amount before it becomes like, oh, it really didn't work for me. So one of the ones that like, I guess like I really like is like with foot training and with shoes. It's like people that go to barefoot shoes and they're like, oh man, after 3 days, it was like, it hurt me so bad. It's like, that's because there was a lot of corrections that the barefoot shoes are trying to do in that time, that like you've done 30 plus years with these normal shoes. Of course it's going to hurt because you're used to the padding. Maybe that pain is actually a teacher telling you that there's some change happening. And I've heard Keegan say, it's like, dude, I've never heard anyone that's done barefoot shoes for 2 years. 2 years, like that's a long time go, oh yeah, after 2 years of barefoot shoes, I'm going to go back to my Nike Airs. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with all the people that I know in my community, bro, that have gone to barefoot and they've stayed with it past that 21-day mark, or even maybe it's further with some people. They've stuck with it. So
What do you think that says about the
yeah,
truth, like about the truth in general, when you
okay, yeah,
hear a truth and you feel it, it's hard to go back, right? It's like ATG. Will you
yes,
ever go back to training a different way or
no, no, yeah, I love that. What is it? It's like a teaspoon of truth can mitigate a soup bowl of false or lies or whatever. And I froth on that, man. It's like you only just need to have a little bit of truth. And yeah, so no, I'll never go back, man. It makes no sense. It's the body loves it. The body responds to it, and the body's growing into these positions. Like I used to have a friend that would be like, "Man, I need a coach to tell me to do a full range pull up because when I'm on my own, I just don't do it. I'm cheap. I just don't do it." It's like, what the fuck? Who's keeping you accountable, right? Like, just so weak, man. And like, it, like you have to pay someone to tell you to do an actual thing
if you
properly.
already
Yeah.
know it, like just
Did you
do
know
it.
it?
I mean, what's the hell? What the hell? I get it though. I mean, that's why personal trainers exist. People are like that. It's okay.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
It's fine. If that is really, you really want to pay someone to stand there and tell you to get full range, do it. Like, I think some people
Yeah,
just want that
if it
friend
works.
too. They don't want to be alone because
True.
they're insecure at the gym. And there's a lot of reasons why. I think it might not just be
Mm,
that they,
mm.
and I do also think Graham Tuttle talks about this, and it comes from Paul Council. It's
Cool.
that people have a secret desire to be led. So most people actually are screaming. They really want someone to take over and say,
Wow.
"This is how we do it." But just they're struggling to find the person to do it for them.
Yeah, like they can't, yeah, and they think that they can't do it themselves, or they have never even had the thought because of what they have seen other people do. I think that's a lot of like the thing, like our input, our environment, what we see, and what we see those in our environment, what they're doing. And then once you see someone do a full range thing, you're like, oh, they're going to break. Well, no, 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 no. They've built up to that. And then because you're not seeing the building phase, you're just seeing them do that. You think it's risky because
Hmm.
it's outside of the norm of what you're seeing. Um, that's why coaches are very fucking needed, man. They're super needed to be able to like train people safely and correctly. And unfortunately, when I go to like Globo gyms up here, because they're the only ones up here that are like 24 hours. Globo gyms. You get that dodgeball reference there? That makes me
No,
laugh inside. You
no,
remember in dodgeball, they're like Globo gym.
no. I don't.
Doesn't
I don't
know.
know if I seen dodgeball.
I'm,
I know. I know who it is. I know it's the.
neither of us are watching entertainment this whole year, mate. So we're not even going to rip half on that, eh?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know if I'll send you that. That gym. That
Yeah.
gym clip because it is entertainment to a degree.
Good man.
Uh,
Keep it chilled then. I love it. But yeah, you just see so many like of these leaders, and they are leaders because they're not. They're leading them to the standard that they themselves think is good, but unfortunately, their body isn't good, and yeah, it's not a great thing to talk about because it's so much of the industry that we're now starting to be involved in that isn't actually like it's a bit of a falsity.
so
Yeah,
on the topic of truth that
nice.
is unorthodox, but when you experience it, you don't go back. I would think that you won't go back to eating vegetarian. You won't go back to not focusing on your breath and everything we've talked about. You've been dropping these truth bombs, and there's also um, a couple interesting things about you, that you're sitting on the floor most of the time,
Yeah.
and there's something about
Yeah.
a stick in your mouth. Can you
Mm.
explain those things, and honestly any other truth that you think could be beneficial or that has
Love
been
it.
beneficial for you, if you just want to share those with people?
Love it. All right, I'll start off with this one then. I really, before I get into the grounded living, which is what me and my partner are going to start cultivating as we grow into more more adults. But your hands and your feet are created by the same designer, and our feet and our hands will only grow into the environment that we like allow them. So what's amazing is that your thumb and your big toe could very well be able to do the same thing. Okay. And so what that really means is your big toe just not working because you just never trained it? Have you never just spent the same amount of moving time or creating that connection mind to muscle with your toe, with your big toe that you have with your hand because you're used to it? And so what is amazing is when you start to actually like look at your big toe training and start to remove the shoes and work on your foot strength and your ability in your foot, you get some amazing gains. And so what I would try and get everyone to do is to find a stick. And there's sticks are out in the wild.
Wait,
Go and
yeah, wait,
stand on a
where
stick.
can I go buy one?
Yeah. Go on to Ape Wanderer, mate, and get out there and go and have a go. But bottom line is, go and stand on one stick on one foot and watch how your toes can actually wrap around that to assist. And your big
I
toe,
actually have a stick in my bedroom.
love it.
I
Yeah,
can
good,
show people. But you keep
nice.
talking.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So what's amazing is that big toe of yours will not be able to balance if you jam it into the ground. If you allow the outside of your foot to sit on the ground and give the freedom of your space of your big toe, you can actually control your balance a lot better. So instead of planting your foot or your hand into the ground, you can't move your thumb, right? But if you fold onto the outside of your foot and outside of your hand, your thumb can start to free up. And that can allow your digit to move and help you with your balance. So by sitting on the outside of your foot, the outside is strong. This is your like movable ability. So sit on the outside of the foot and your balance will become better because your big toe can help you by making those micro adjustments up, down, up, side, boom, 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 boom. And so that's a huge key that like for my balance, I guess, in my yoga practice, which I don't really do much anymore, but I still hit some yoga poses where I'm trying to stand. Yeah, see, that's quite thin. Hey, that's going to be really fun and
This is
challenging.
the I bought these on the Foot
Oh, Foot
Collective.
Collective. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you get two of them, and they pretty much fit like any stick size. So you
It's
can,
cool.
for this one, I'll literally put them like pretty close, like how far apart? Maybe like this far apart on the floor, and then I honestly haven't done it in a while, but like you're saying, you stand. Were you
Mm,
basically saying that the big toe will start separating from the other
yeah.
ones?
What I'm trying to say is to not jam your big toe into the ground. So sit on the outside of your arch. Sit on the outside. And if you look at my hand, right, this is where I'm strong on the outside here, because then that allows my thumb to move. So if I was lifting weights or if I was trying to punch someone that didn't want to punch, I would hit them with here, with my palm strike, like Bas Rutten. In the same way, when I rack a kettlebell or rack the weight, I rack it on the outside here, which is on the strong part of my hand, and then my thumb can keep moving. But what we do usually is we jam it with our feet. We usually jam our big toe into the ground, not allowing it to move. So by sitting on the outside of the foot, we can allow our big toe then to make these adjustments and to start making these micro adjustments which help us balance. And so when you do it on a stick, like I did the foot collective course in 2019. It was so good to open up
Wow.
my awareness of the foot and everything, man.
There you
And
got
so,
some cool stuff.
yeah, really cool. And so, yeah, just opening up that awareness. I guess when you balance on the stick, you can start making your foot will start uncongealing and opening up and adding that sort of, like, I guess, ability on the ground. And so then this leads into what I do now with my living stuff. I realize that shoes, they're a lie. chairs chairs might actually also be a lie.
Are you on the floor right now?
And nah, bro, I'm standing up. I haven't sat down since 2019. No, I'm joking. I still sit at my family dinners, but I'm the first one up to help with the dishes. You know what I mean? I sit
I've
right
actually
down
been
and
sitting this whole time, and I can tell my legs are like, get up already, man. Like,
yeah, bro. Yeah, huge. Yeah, so I just got rid of all first thing. Yeah, you should be standing big. Or you should be squatting. What, you know, how good can you squat? You know what I mean? In like a quarter squat. How long can you hold that for before your quads like gas out, right? Yeah. See, if I was in your position, right, I'd be doing one leg up, one leg down in like a sort of couch stretch, right? Like, yeah,
I
you
could
know what I
also
mean?
kneel. I could.
Exactly. And so here's what's amazing. It shows up that there's like 8 natural resting positions. The squat is one leg, one up is down. The other side is 3. You can have 2 down, which is 4. Cross-legged is 5. Yeah, there's just these natural resting positions, and I'll do an Instagram post in the future that will like tie in with this.
Sweet.
That like I use because I'm going to be doing more computer work this year. And so yeah, what's amazing is when I got rid of the chairs, just these natural, my body was forced to find these natural resting positions, and the need for stretching started to dissipate so much. It was so big that like I'd be having to stretch every night. But then as soon as I got rid of the couches and the chairs, I didn't need to have these stretching times because I would be stretching periodically throughout the day. Yeah, making big adjustments already. I love it. This is a man of action. I love this. It takes things on board.
I don't want to use explicit words, but fuck chairs.
Yeah, man.
I'm done with chairs, man.
Chair conspiracies.
Like,
chair conspiracies.
I messed around with it after listening to you a little bit, and I actually heard Kelly start talking about it.
Yep.
With Ben, and he said basically sit on the floor. Like, would 90-90 be one of those positions that's a good one?
There it is. Perfect 90-90. Yeah, and that's 7. Yeah, I can't remember what the last one is right now. Plus, I'm blanking on the list. But yeah, what's amazing is that instead of having a table and a chair, you just cut the legs off your chair, and then it comes down to the height that you need. So simple things like that you can just make adjustments. Instead of having chairs, just have pillows. So I've just got a bloody nice place now with like pillows all around on the ground. And yeah, it's so easy. It's funny how like we've been trained to think that this is a sort of like a normal thing that we do. And that like what I'm doing is like not normal. Like my parents hate it. You know what I mean? I hate it, but the truth is it works. And even better is that it's giving me gains. It's allowing my body to not get these tight hip flexors, and yeah, I'm making these little adjustments throughout. Like you're doing right now, right? You're forcing yourself now to actually move throughout your day instead of thinking that your body is relaxed in a chair, which it isn't. It just switches off all of its muscles completely. And that's what the trick of a chair, that's why I call it like chair conspiracy, is because it's teaching us to not use our muscles completely. And we should be doing that throughout the day. If we were ever in, yeah, nice.
How's my
Love
Vietnam
it.
form?
Love it. Yeah, bro. All the way.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
use assistant. It's good. Yeah.
use assistant. I mean, this is actually giving me a really good burn because like
Mhm.
I haven't hit a good
Mhm.
workout today, so this is a good idea. Like,
Dude,
how do you feel when we're probably already broke the record on my podcast, so let's just keep going. Like,
love it. Love it. Love
what?
it.
Wait. I mean, keep talking about it.
I was just
you had
about to
more to
say
say.
that. Yeah, man. I was going to say what we would have done in the wild is we wouldn't have relaxed where all of our muscles switch off. We would have constantly had blood flow moving through our body, into our feet, into our quads, into our glutes, and that creates health. Whereas now we have a sedentary lifestyle where we eat crap food. It makes us relax, so we go and lounge on a couch, and then just that like starts building into that like fat belly. Whereas if you don't lounge and you actually just maintain your body's structural balance of strength from the ground up, even when you're sitting and you're relaxing, you'll end up like allowing more blood flow. And I feel like blood flow is one of the greatest keys to longevity, health, and allowing your body to not have injuries and problems down the track, because that blood flow will like ultimately allow your body to heal and to grow better. So yeah, I'm just on the hype, just to finish that like rant, which I've had a few of today, is what you'll find is that instead of being in one position for an hour and a half, which you were before, you've now moved through several positions, and that is your body telling you, oh, this is fine for now. Oh, I'm feeling tight. What if we try the other side? And now you're starting to move. When you move more, like your body loves it. We know through movement, we know through play that your body actually loves moving. So creating these little sort of stimulus and allowing your environment to encourage that is key. So for me, it was getting rid of all the chairs. At first, getting rid of all the chairs, getting rid of all the screens. I didn't have a laptop for 6 or so years, didn't force me to sit down in that area. And so that forced me to find these positions that now are like classified as grounded living. It's actually a thing out there. It is a thing called grounded living. And I don't think it will be on Airbnbs anytime soon, but maybe in the next 5 years, you know what I mean? Like 5 years time, you'll be able to type in like, oh, I want a grounded living house. And then
What's
probably my
the
house will show up.
what's the spiritual significance of grounding?
Man, that's everything. Everything. I think it really, spiritual significance of grounding is getting back in touch with who we are and where we sort of, who our ancestors were. And we don't have any, like our grandparents and stuff, like barely tell us any of their history, you know what I mean? But when you go out and you actually like touch a tree with both of your hands and you have no shoes on and you don't have your phone on or your wireless headphones or whatever, you're able to connect with what that tree has been through and what that it's seen so many more things than what you have. And if you ever want a great documentary to watch, which I'm sure is not the right channel to talk about on here, but Fantastic
No.
Fungi, where it talks where it talks. Love it. That's a man on a mission, ready to go.
We're not talking
I
about.
want that as a soundbite,
No,
Max. I want that as a soundbite.
I was gonna say no. This is okay, but on second thought, new rule
Yeah,
on the
just stick with it. I
Max
love
Freedom
it.
podcast. No tree talk.
That's right.
No, I'm just kidding. Like, please, let's dive into. I think what
Mm.
you're about to go into here is tree consciousness. Is that like...
No, it's the mycelium. So mycelium is the interweb underneath the connective stuff all underneath the trees and underneath the ground.
Mm.
And what's amazing is this sort of leads into why I chose to eat more of an animal-based diet, is because through this mycelium, trees communicate. And there's a whole wondrous world underneath where the roots are. And if a plant is getting eaten by a ladybug, it will send through the mycelium to the other plants to change its scent, to change its its smell, to stop the ladybug from eating it. And this is where it comes into understanding that plants don't have a defensive mechanism of how to run away, whereas animals and us, we can run away if there's danger. But plants don't have that. So what they do is they actually release toxins, or they change their toxicity to stop us from eating them. And that's why I don't eat many like leafy vegetables anymore. I don't eat many plants, because of that ability that they actually don't have a defensive mechanism to get away from us, I guess.
Like we
So
tend
they
to
would
think of
actually,
them as like this, they're just like part of nature. They're not like us, because I think it probably stems from this kind of like what we talked about earlier, where the human game, and like
nice.
we get into this trap of thinking that we're not like the plants and we're not like the
Yeah.
earth, like we're not part of the same thing. Um, and
But
so
what's
yeah,
amazing,
so a lot of the vegans or like the vegetarians will not eat meat because they're scared that they're hurting the animals, but you're also hurting the plants.
nice, nice.
Go
And
ahead.
yeah, all the insects. And what's amazing is that this mycelium is the worldwide web of Mother Nature. And it has been here well before us. It is our earth, and we are just here visiting. And for us to think, oh yeah, like it's just a tree, just lop it, you know what I mean? Just get rid of it. It has a deeper connection to everything that is sort of existing on this planet. No, not too much woo woo, but it is part of us as well, because it has somehow, fuck mate, it actually gives us life, doesn't it? It gives us our oxygen. It breathes in carbon dioxide and then breathes out oxygen, allowing us to live. So we need them, and they communicate via this thing called mycelium, which is underneath the soil, underneath the ground. And when you get your shoes off and you go out and you actually walk barefoot on the ground and connect to the groundedness in that, you tap into that, man. You tap into that through the soles of your feet, and your soul loves it. They've done tests on it as well. Like you can actually find science behind it and stuff like that. It's like getting grounded bed sheets and grounded pillowcases for your bed so that you can keep grounded during the night and not have EMF waves attacking you. The EMF waves like traveling around your being. So yeah, I
What do you
love
know
it,
about
man.
EMF?
Not too much, man. I just know that it doesn't seem to be a natural thing. So yeah, I try and keep it as natural. I wish I was like,
Wi-Fi?
yeah, like I know it's there. You know what I mean? I look, man. In the future, my great like, I'm gonna have like a Faraday cage, and I'll end up sleeping in the Faraday cage with a grounded mat. Just be out in the trees somewhere, maybe. Like what I hate at the moment, man, is I've just moved into a new place. And as I log on to like find a Wi-Fi or whatever, there's 20 Wi-Fis that like are in my like vicinity, and you're
Oh
like,
my
oh
God.
damn it, yeah, it's like what am I in an apartment or something? Like, yeah, it doesn't phase me in the sense like I'm still going to get stuff done, but it's just like, oh okay, in the future that will be something that I address, something in the future, but
That's
nothing
interesting.
too.
Yeah, like Wi-Fi's are literally, it's light. Like we just can't see. I think that's what Keegan said, or I don't really
Right.
understand the science of it all, but like you're like, I go into airplane mode as often as I can. Like if your phone literally has blueprint in it that says don't have this thing on when it's in your pocket. Like it.
Love it.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously we have to have, like, I need the Wi-Fi to communicate with you unless I use an Ethernet cable. But like, I'm not gonna stress about it. But there's so many different.
Mm,
I want to
mm.
touch on every single topic we can because I feel like you've got a perspective on everything, man.
Bro, yeah, I've spent too much time thinking about it, I guess. Just trying to conquer my get back to my wandering self, I guess. No, man, I don't know. I can't think of anything else off
The
the top of the head,
mycelium
man.
is unbelievable, and
It's
yeah,
crazy, dude. They
it's
communicate via that. Like,
yeah.
yeah, and
Go ahead.
that supports that plants communicate with each other to change their toxicity levels so that they don't get eaten. It's like, oh, bro, they're way more superior than us. Fuck aliens. Well, sorry for saying, I've sworn a few times, but like aliens aren't the boiler, man. Like we're dealing with what's here and what's under the ocean. Like there's so much wilderness, man, and I just know that the more that I seem to strip back and get out to the mountains, get out to the natural things of being at the beaches and stuff like that, man, my body like radiates that energy. And like, I don't know, man, if you've looked at water and you just start like being around like big bodies of water, there's like this calming sense that comes over you. And it's like listening to that intuition again, listening to whether or not that your body is responding to it. And I ask everyone to just connect to their breath, slow down, and listen to what their intuition is. And some people have blockages there, man. A lot of people do. And you got to strip away at those things sometimes. You know, yeah,
Did we really just lose the connection at the last? All right, we're gonna pause. Okay, we're back. We had some ironically Wi-Fi issues. I think it's my Wi-Fi. It said the internet is unstable. But anyway, I think it's like
bless.
beautiful that you brought it. We started with the breath, and I think it's a good place to end with the breath, where you just kind of wrapped it all back up, and we're
Love
getting our
to.
breath from the trees. Like I've never
Yeah.
thought of the trees as an alien superior race, but I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have a second thoughts about that. Like there's this term like
Don't think of it.
tree huggers. Like people kind of act like you're crazy for like hugging a tree or like I took a as a little side story. I mean it's not even a story. I just actually went into the forest like a couple weeks ago, which I don't do, and I want to start doing more. And I had an experience with trees, like where I
Mm,
was in there alone, and I was like, I can feel that they know I'm here.
mm,
Like, and I know that sounds freaking woo woo, but it's like I know they understand that I have a presence in the forest. Like, they're not stupid.
mm.
They're not just like poles in that we've built. Like they're intelligent creatures or whatever they are. But we have a symbiotic relationship with them. Like it's not like we hate each
Yeah.
other, but they're obviously they're gonna protect themselves. It's just like, yes, they're gonna
Yeah.
release toxins, and yes, broccoli doesn't love you. It doesn't. It just gotta. Kale doesn't love you back. But
Nice.
anyway,
Yeah.
what what breath?
Bro.
What other let's just like go out. You can say before we do the breathing technique, because
Love
I'd
it.
love for you to share another technique. Um, Share
Yeah.
where people can reach out to you, because I know you're not really doing the online stuff. So is Telegram the best spot? Where can people find you? And then let's just take
Yeah.
us away into some beautiful
We're
breathing.
gonna do some woo-woo breathing, man. Hold
Let's go hug a tree or
on.
something.
Less.
And then more Wi-Fi errors. Take us away. All right. But
Bless your soul. But what we're going to, I just reach out to me on Instagram. Find me on there, Ape Wanderer, mate. I'll send you on to some good things, and keen to connect with like-minded people. But what's amazing is nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a gas that is enhanced when we breathe through our nose. And so all we're going to do this time is when we breathe out, we're actually just going to access a hum, because a hum will not only tighten the diaphragm and allow a greater pull in of oxygen, it will actually enhance the nitric oxide. I believe it's by 150%. And so I'm in for anything that can enhance my nitric oxide uptake. I'm in for anything that can prevent COVID from me, which is nitric oxide is now proven to do that. So very excited from getting the scientific report. But if we just breathe in normally, and we're going to block one nose, and then we breathe out and try and hum. And then when you breathe in, you feel that it actually pulls the oxygen in deeper. And so what's amazing, the hum is really, really slowing down the exhale, but tightening the diaphragm to create that elasticity of pulling the air in. So we'll just go 3 breaths in. And so we'll block one nose just because it's
and
fun,
hum at the same,
and it
or
makes it more.
You hum first and then you breathe in?
No, hum on the exhale.
On the exhale.
Hum on the exhale.
Okay.
So breathe in. Yep, breathe in normally, and then hum on the exhale. Just do whatever you can. Okay, so I'll do it with you. So we're going in, and then hum it out. Breathe in. If you have a weak hum, you usually have some sort of blockage. And considering your bolt score is poor, you have some blockage, Maximus.
I do. I always get the nose block.
Breathing in. Oh, really?
Just like looking at this is amazing, because if you're like watching this shit online, you're like, what the fuck? What are these guys doing? But it's amazing.
Bro.
I love humming.
Love it. Even, bro, keep it going. Even better is like you do this into a sauna, and then whenever someone like enters, they leave straight away. So then you get the sauna to yourself.
I did Wim Hof in the sauna yesterday, and yeah, a guy was like, "Whoa, what is this guy doing?" He's just releasing DMT. That's all.
Yeah, just accessing a natural state, bro. Bless you. Thank you for bringing out the best of me, man. Thank you for giving me a platform. But if you have nose blockages, start accessing this and breathing through single side.
So yeah, say I wake up with a nasal congestion on one side. My normal technique is just blow it out over and over and over. But like, you would say do this instead?
This is one way. You can also, you should also actually just do a breath hold where you go half in, a little bit out, pinch underneath, and rock your head up and down. What that creates is the indication that your body thinks it's going through exercise. Go on, keep going, keep going. Now push, keep going, stay with it. Just keep going. You don't need to breathe, right?
Okay.
You don't need to breathe. Keep going until you need to breathe. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Your body is thinking that it's about to go through exercise right now. And so it will open up your nose, because your nose is the same skin makeup as your nipples and your genitals, where it actually like warms up. So right now you're warming up, you're breathing in. Did that feel like it actually opened up your airways a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Wow. I feel like
It's
I just got done with the sled a little bit.
Nice. I mean, what's amazing is if you still had a blockage, you could do it 2 or 3 more times, and it's so easy to do.
So you don't breathe when you're doing that?
Correct. Breathe in a little bit, like half in, a little bit out, and then just underneath, and then slowly rock left to right. Yeah. Yeah. Just wherever it feels blocked. And what that's doing is simulating that your body thinks it's going through exercise and will clear the nose for you. It's an amazing technique, man. Yeah. Get that happening. All right. I reckon in a week's time, you'll be like, dude, it actually works.
And you tape your mouth at night too?
Yeah. Every night, mate. I was a chronic mouth breather and I've had nosebleeds because my nose is adjusted from it and stuff. So it's like through experience that it's like, this is something I need to do because my nose is actually reshaping and changing its position. And in the near future, you'll see that my deviated septum is like sitting out here. It used to be way worse from an uppercut.
Okay.
I copped an uppercut and half broke it. And so like in the near future, that will shift back into the correct place without surgery. Whereas everyone uses surgery to do that. Whereas I'm just going to do it naturally.
I hope
put it out there, mate. Keep me accountable.
Good.
I love it. It will.
I know it'll happen.
It will. Hey.
Last question. How do you grow your hair out to look so nice?
Yeah. The trick is just salt water, sunshine, and have a beautiful woman that would love to braid it and comb it for you every now and again. Otherwise, it gets too knotty. I mean, when competition comes again, it'll be straight off. But right now, we're having fun and we're living life good.
Amazing. Okay, bro.
Bless yourself, man.
Thank you so much.
Big smiles.
I think we hit 2.5 hours.
That's
by
massive.
far the longest I've ever gone, and I think people will love this. So people, like, I just want to send gratitude to you, and yeah, I don't even know how we connected, but I'm really glad we did, and I know you're gonna be doing some massive things with your life. So if you haven't already,
Exciting,
come
man.
on. Like, what did you just share with? You just may have exploded. If someone listens to this, you may explode their mind, and they'll never be able to put it back together. So, thank you so much, man. This has been amazing. Hey. Seriously.
Big hug, man. Feel you through the internet, man. Big love, respect, and keen to connect down in the future. Yeah, you got it.
We will.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, see you, brother.
See you soon, bro.